Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Good morning, councillors. Good morning, officers. Welcome to the committee meeting for the 15th of August. Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to begin and acknowledge our traditional custodians on the land in which we meet today, the Drumble people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Also acknowledging our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within the local government area, the Gungaloo Nation people, the Barada, Kabalbara and Yanamarala people. Also acknowledging the Torres Strait Islander peoples whose lands are in the Torres Straits but who live and work on Aboriginal lands. Councillor, we have a full house. Councillor Fisher is online, I'm led to believe. Yes, he's online. Morning, Councillor Fisher. So we have a full house. Confirmation of the previous minutes from the community's meeting held on the 18th of July, 23 be confirmed. Have a mover and a seconder. Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Moving on to declarations of interest in matters on the agendas. Councillor Rutherford, you have informed the council of that conflict. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank
Councillor
you,
Rutherford.
Mr Mayor. I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 10.2, the 125 Robinson Street YWCA. Sorry, YWCA, what did I say then?
Actually, YM. Yeah.
Wait, yes, yeah, I was thinking, there's a club called Extreme Trampoline now, and they have my equipment, and they are now recently moved into the YWCA and are operating from
that facility?
that facility. So I'll deal with that conflict by leaving the meeting.
Okay, that's acknowledged. Now, there's a domino that occurs after that with Councillor Mathers. Your request, Councillor Mathers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Oh, might just need to turn that down a little bit.
It is very loud.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Councillor Table, I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 10.2, 125 Robinson Street, YWCA leasing and ownership update. This declarable conflict of interest arises as my sister, Councillor Sri Rutherford, has a declarable conflict of interest in this matter, as she has loaned gymnastic equipment to Extreme Trampoline Club, which has recently commenced operation from this venue. I wish to participate in the matter and acknowledge that eligible councillors must now determine, pursuant to section 150 ES of Local Government Act 2009, whether I may participate in the decision, including by voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting, including any areas set aside for the public, and stay away while the eligible councillors discuss and vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Mathers. Councillors, any questions with regards to Councillor Mathers' request? I'm happy to support Councillor Mathers remain in the meeting. Seconded, Councillor Smith. We'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Mathers. We'll just wait for that to... Rutherford didn't vote.
Who's second that one?
Councillor Smith, I move. Councillor Smith seconded, and the people that voted for it was myself, Councillor Fisher, Councillor Latcham, Councillor Kirkland and Councillor Smith as the seconder. That clarifies all the participants in that, and the motion was carried. And okay, so that resolves that one. Sorry.
Yes.
That's right. And Councillors Williams, Fisher, Kirkland and Smith and Latcham. Thank you. That's the... And the motion was carried. Righto. Sorry, I was in fast motion. Now, the next domino was Councillor Wickerson again. Would you like to
Yes, thank you,
meeting?
Mayor. I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 10.2 also, 125 Robinson Street, YWCA, leasing and ownership update. This declarable conflict of interest arises as I'm a close associate of Councillor Sri Rutherford, who has a declarable conflict of interest in this matter, as she has loaned gymnastic equipment to Extreme Trampoline Club, which has recently commenced operation from this venue. I wish to participate in this matter and acknowledge that eligible councillors must now determine, pursuant to section 150 ES of the Local Government Act 2009, whether I may participate in this decision, including by voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting, including any area set aside for the public, and stay away while the eligible councillors discuss and vote on this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Wickerson. Councillors, any questions to Councillor Wickerson? If not, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Again, we'll do the same motion as the councillors in favour. Myself, Councillor Kirkland, Councillor Latcham, Councillor Smith, and Councillor Fisher, and Councillors Mathers, Wickerson, and Rutherford did not vote on that matter, and the motion was carried. Yeah. No, you're right. And Councillors Mathers, Wickerson and Rutherford didn't participate in the vote. Okay. That's a lot of work just to start that, yeah. So that moves us on, councillors. No business outstanding, nil public forums, deputation, no petitions, and councillor delegate reports. Move straight into the officers' reports and 10.1. Councillors, I'd like to move, before we get into that one, that this matter lay on the table until our next committee's meeting, while further discussions occurs in regards to the location. So I'm happy to move that and seek a seconder. Seconded, Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. So the next communities meeting, so that gives us time to do some further consultation, thank you. Gives us a date. I'm not sure what the date is, it'll be just the next communities meeting, yep. And I'll talk with you on that one. We'll be involved in that consultation.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Did you want to say something? Yep.
Well, I was just, if we're looking at this in whole, I was just a little bit concerned about the safety of that, of the proposed
discuss it.
design.
Yeah, no, this is, we can bring all that back in after some further consultation. Councillor Rutherford, I think that's,
Was it
where we're at.
Councillor Kirkland second?
Yes, Councillor Kirkland second, and the motion was carried unanimously, thank you.
Those ones came from next week.
Councillor Wicks, did you have a question or your
Oh,
lot was
no,
just
sorry.
on? No. Okay, councillors, that moves us on to item 10.2, the 125 Robinson Street YWCA item. Councillor Rutherford, you might step into the, what are we going to call that? Side room. Gallery. Thank you, Justin. We'll present that report.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr Mayor, through the Chair, Council. 125 Robinson Street report. Look, this report brings us back to a matter that has been, I guess, ongoing for a bit over 12 months now. As we would all likely recall, the Robinson Street building was some time ago, surrendered by its former owner, the YWCA, into Council's care. Now, that facility has, at that time, and continued to still service the community for a number of different reasons and purposes. And as a result, we moved to take that building through the tendering process. Through an extensive effort to, I guess, exhaust those options, the report will outline that through that process we haven't found a successful tenderer that meets that criteria from Council to take on that building and continue to operate it, and obviously reinvest into that building, because we know that there is some ongoing maintenance and condition matters that really do need to be addressed as a priority. So, as the report does outline, it does focus on two things, and that was really to give you an understanding of what that outcome was, and I guess the next item for us to consider before we go through that process of looking at what that next option will be for this next operator is how we address that existing maintenance concerns, the existing maintenance concerns. Because over the last 12 months, our facilities, MJ's team, they've had a really good opportunity, and we've really had to acknowledge that what the condition of that asset is. And as it stands now, from a statutory maintenance perspective, we do have some glaring issues that come with some risk for us as council and officers if we don't start to address that. Now, I know there's a bit of a list in there in terms of what those items are, and we can, with MJ and myself, we can talk through them in more detail if you like. However, I guess just as a note, some of this work will take in excess of 12 months to do. Now, we certainly envision that we'll be back at the table with a future report with what that next option will look like. As it outlines in the report, the existing permit holder, as an example, they've already formally wrote to us to say that they will be putting in a submission for council to consider. So that will form one of the future options for ownership, building management and operations. So there's every chance that we'll find that answer before we get to the end of that work. But for us as council, we're recommending that we start that planning work to get those statutory maintenance obligations underway. So any questions, we can talk through it.
Councillors, questions? Councillor Kirkland?
Oh, thanks, Mr Mayor. I did have a question. I just wanted to ask how many different organisations currently sublease that facility?
Through the chair, Councillor Kirkland, to be honest, I don't have that information off the top of my head. I know it's in excess of five to six. We've got a dance group. We've got, as Councillor Rutherford referenced, there's a new trampoline organisation in there operating now. I think there is other organised incorporated groups, religious groups that use that facility, and they've got a lot of ad hoc use too. So over the last 6 months, they've had travelling groups of footy and different sporting organisations come and use the facilities, because it is a great facility for bringing in lots of numbers, communal kitchens and things like that. So they've got regular users certainly for about between 4 and 6 would be my estimate at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr
Councillor-
Chair.
Yeah, Councillor Caglin.
So it's a heavily utilised facility, without doubt.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have any idea of numbers. I suppose we could just go on the fact that a lot of those organisations have considerable numbers. So it's significant, the amount of public that are using the facility. We're talking about these high-risk repairs. That makes sense.
Yeah, through the chair, the usage has, and in the, I guess, acknowledging Rockhampton Boxing Promotions as the current permit holder, they've actually brought in more users since the YWCA surrendered it. So they've done a little bit of work in the community to bring new user groups in. So absolutely, the number of users, I mean, the dance school, the trampoline, hockey use it, I think, about 3 to 4 months a year, and then boxing also run their program. So them alone, their numbers would be quite considerable, and I think it's around 5 to 6 days a week that facility is open and being accessed by those groups for their programs. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Caglin. Councillor Mathers or Councillor Wixon? Councillor Wixon?
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Through you, if that's right, Mr Mayor. The question I've got in regards to, we know it is a very highly used venue. I know you've done a bit of work, or there was talk when this came to the table last time in regards to the possibility of getting the ownership of the building changed over. And I know you've alluded to it in the report as well, but are you reasonably confident that if this money's spent, that will go a long way to maybe that leasing being able to hand over for ownership as well?
Through the chair, Councillor Mathers, I guess that notion is something that we'll probably go into more detail to embed some confidence with the council in the next report. Mm-hmm. Depending on the outcome of today, and if council was to support that fund's been invested into that building, I think officers have talked about a number of different good options that we could potentially consider again, and that being if council, and just to speculate as an example, if council is going to invest this considerable amount of money into the building, the condition and its, I guess, status would be quite elevated. So, there will be questions around, do we retain ownership, or do we, is the appetite from the community going to be a lot different? We would expect so that would be a yes. That statutory maintenance is a significant amount of money that needs to be spent now. A lot of organisations probably don't have, or obviously don't have that capacity. So that being done or committed by council, we would expect would bring potentially some new tenderers to the table, which again brings us to another option that could come back is, do we go through the tender process again? Do we look at existing occupancy? Do we look at the retaining of ownership? So they're the types of options that we would, I guess, flesh out in the next report and talk in more detail to give confidence on either one of those options for you. So.
Mr Mayor, yeah, thanks very much for that, Justin. I suppose that's what I was alluding to, Justin, was, if we're spending that amount of money, I suppose the pressure is off in regards to, it'll be a well-maintained building at that point. So it's something we could consider either retaining or if the right person came along that wanted ownership. So.
Yeah, through the chair, and that's right, depending on, I guess, what that next appetite comes in from the community versus what our investment is versus facility and MJ's view on, I guess, that building's condition and ongoing maintenance costs, that will influence, I guess, what those recommendations will be and those options, which at least will give us more options, whereas at the moment we're sure.
Thank you. Just one last question, if that's all right, Mr Mayor. So, Justin, in regards to this, the money that's got to be spent now, are we relatively, is that most of the maintenance work that needs to be done, or are we just doing what, the major stuff that needs to be done, or is there,
Yes, through the chair, that maintenance work is what's been identified to date. So by no means are we confident. MJ can certainly go into more detail. Just as an example, one thing that we haven't looked at yet, we're continuing to monitor, is the subfloor structure at this point. So there will be continued work and monitoring and inspections to be done. So there's no guarantee other sore points or other urgent works may not still pop up. What we do know is that this list here is what we've identified in the last 12 months.
Is it
through the chair. So that list there is what addresses our immediate hazards that have been identified. There is far more work required to the building, even once that list has been completed. And that list is really framed around the current use of the building. So these are the hazards that impact the current use. They're the repairs required. So I guess if that use changes or we decide to retain the building, we'll have to do another assessment as to what works are, I guess, completely required.
Okay. All right, thanks for that, MJ.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillor Wickerson, then Councillor Smith and Councillor Latcham.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Probably just some comments. I'm happy to support this as it is. Some of the other uses that I'm aware of is the local school also uses that at exam time, or a couple of times a year, so that's a huge use. But also, I think there's a roller derby team that get in there and race around, so it is highly used, as other councillors have said. Also happy down the track to entertain other options for whether we keep it or continue the lease or sell it or whatever. So, but at the moment the priority is to make sure that the building is safe for the users while it's ours. We don't want to expose council to any undue risk if someone gets injured. And also I think some of it, like the leaky roof, possibly not in that category, but it'll prevent further damage to the building going on. So things that we absolutely have to do now. So even though it always surprises me how much this sort of work costs, that's just the world we're in. Everything costs so much more. So I guess in the scheme of things, if you had to replace that whole facility, 180 grand is chicken feed, So.
And considering there hasn't been any ongoing maintenance and facility for a while, it's probably not a bad outcome at the end of the day. But
the immediate priority is get it ship shape, and then I think even if we did decide in 12 months' time or thereabouts to sell it and move it on, there'd be a fair obligation on council to sell it, a bit like any other real estate, to have it in pretty fair saleable condition. There's probably some rules around that too, that you can't sell something knowingly that it's not accessible or safe or something like that. So I think either way we'll have to do that at some stage. So might as well do it now and reduce that risk. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Smith, then Councillor Latcham.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Several years ago we inspected this building. I thought for its age it was a fabulous building, especially with that wooden floor. And just my question is, this floor repairs from termite damage, I presume we would have had a full termite damage inspection, and that was the only problem, because that could be the bugbear in old buildings.
MJ, did you get that question? If has the whole floor been inspected? If there's been some termite damage, is that the whole building?
Yes, so the whole building's been inspected. There is some substantial termite damage. So these repairs just replace the termite damaged sections. It's not actually like a full floor replacement or full roof repair. It's just to replace or repair the termite damaged sections. We have added it to our pest inspection now, so it is getting regularly treated as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Latcham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just probably a comment initially, but this report's great. It goes to show that it's considered as to what it's going to do. It leaves the door open to whether we sell it. We've all inspected it. It is a great facility. Whether it goes and we sell it, or the other way is we actually base council offices in there in a part of it, sport and rec in particular. It could be a sport and rec hub. I could see that happening. So I see there's some real benefit in this asset. It's something the community uses already. I think it could get more usage. But my question, I guess, through Mr Mayor, is to Justin, is the tender process itself. Is that something, I mean, obviously you go through a standard tender process. Did you feel that you got the results? I mean, obviously nothing was suitable in the end, but was there more than one person put in for a tender, or did you evaluate whether there was potential for it to be more widespread out in the community, that there is an asset or that we're looking at leasing? Is any user group wanting to go into it, or is it just specifically through a certain tender process?
Through the chair, through the tender process. The tenders team obviously run that, and there is a policy and obviously a very defined way in which we do that. We set up a criteria and assessment process against that tender spec. So we establish what the wants and needs of council are. We establish the weighing and the scoring, like we do with any tender process. And I guess through that process, and it was quite a lengthy one, and there have been some updates brought back to the table previously. And through the chair, Alicia, are we, can we reference the number of tenderers that we received?
Sorry?
Can we reference the number of tenderers we received?
Yeah, we can.
So, and I think, look, previously I did mention in the information brief, Councillor, there was only one tenderer that was actually received through that process, and certainly absolutely exhausted, I guess, that. And whilst they were very willing and working with that tender process, at the end of the day, that criteria, the scoring, the outcome is obviously as defined there. It wasn't successful. So this change, this investment from council, it may certainly change that view from the community. If the option in the future was to go back to the tender process, that might change. We might see more, but there's no guarantee either. I mean, this building is a large piece of infrastructure. It has, even once this work's done, there's going to be a lot of ongoing maintenance and responsibility that an incorporated body would then have to inherit in a business plan. So there's still no guarantee, and that's why once we do this work and through the advice of facilities and MJ's team around, I guess, what that condition is, and over the next 12 months we're going to continue to learn about this building. So providing there's no new big bugbears, those options as we previously referred to will be something we can consider. So the tender process, yeah, so there's only one, and yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alicia. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mr Mayor, I just want to refer to, there's been a couple of comments around the sale of the building. So the building itself is on reserve land, so it would be limited in terms of the use. I think it's for sport and recreation or something along those lines. When we've looked at this tenderer, it's really around the capacity to handle the building and make investment, and we've knowingly known what investment was required in that. When we took it to tender initially, I thought it was important to test that market, because there's, every other day we have people looking for buildings or suitable space, and we really didn't know. It surprised me that we did only have that one that expressed that interest, but that could speak to the condition of the building. But because it's also multi-use, it adds that extra dimension, so it's not sort of a sole purpose. But we will bring it back to the table, but it's not a requirement. If we're transferring it to another not-for-profit, it's not a requirement that we retest it on the open market, but we'll bring that back to the table to decide.
Okay, thanks very much for that explanation, Alicia. That really does clear a lot of the thought-making process in that space. Justin, I think you've exhausted all the questions to that, so thank you for your report. Councillor, I'm happy to move as recommended, and Councillor Wickerson, happy to second. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. We'll invite Councillor Rutherford back to the meeting, and thanks. I'll just ask Councillor Rutherford. Yeah. No, but that's a good outcome, I think, at the end of the day, Councillor, so we'll see that come forward. Thanks for that report, Justin, and we'll move on to our next item. AFL, Keele Park Precinct. Thanks very much, Jack. Thanks, MJ.
No, all good. Beautiful. First time up here, so getting through it. Morning Mayor, through the Chair, councillors. So today we're bringing forward the Keele Park Building Transfer Ownership Report. So in the past, Council has been magnanimous with supporting Brothers AFL at Keele Park to help improve the facility over the years, making the site a better place and more diverse facility, which has been open to the public 24/7. Recently, the club has shared with us their 3 to 4 year development plan and have determined taking over full ownership and maintenance responsibilities of the old Software building will only better utilise their site and be able to provide further programs and games to the wider community, including their newly established female games and league. So, yeah.
Sterling job there, Jack.
Thanks.
Any questions, councillors? It seems pretty straightforward. Recommendation and report. I do have a few. Councillor Rutherford as a portfolio spokesperson.
I'm happy to move,
Happy to
Mr
move.
Mayor. I think this organisation have done an absolutely amazing job out at Keele Park, you know, coming from rough starts where they were asked to move from their original site, and, you know, the efforts, the funding, the lighting, and this softball, the old softball building for a long time was just being vandalised and, you know, of no use to anyone. So, you know, the fact that it's now, you know, put to, or has been for quite some time, put to good use, and this is tidying up those loose ends. So, you know, I think this is a really a great outcome.
Yep, no, thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Wickerton?
Just a comment, Mayor, to follow on from Councillor Rutherford. The club does so well, I think, because they're so professional in everything they do, and just the submission that they put in with this, the level of detail in it, and probably some of it would be in their master planning or their strategy or whatever, but it makes our job easier when everything we need is there, and that's why they do go from strength to strength. So,
yeah. No, and you happy to second? We have moved in a second, and again, I echo Councillor Rutherford's comments there. From a difficult start, they've really grabbed the ball with both hands, so to speak, and kicking goals in this space. So on a roll, eh? But yeah, so and it's not my form of football anyway. But anyway, that's all good. So, I think I'll cut before I dig any deeper. But that said, councillors, thanks very much for that report, Jack. It is a great outcome and one there that we see it going. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to our last item. And we do have another agenda item that's coming to councillors. We'll deal with that at the end of the meeting. There was? I thought there was another item said yesterday, was there? I'm not sure. We'll go to this one anyway. The garden tea rooms, 10.4.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair. 11.4. This report looks to extend the existing garden tea rooms lease renewal for Miss Marianne Williams for another 4 years. Now, I guess to step back again, this report follows one that was brought back. I think it was March last year. Don't quote me. It's in there somewhere. Where we came forward with a number of requests from the operator at the time. And I guess, look, through that period, we're all aware that the gardens, the botanical gardens, was under a little bit of duress. We had a lot of complexities with the site, with our flying foxes, etc. So from that report to this report, you'll notice some significant differences. We've been working very closely with the operator, with Miss Williams, and pleased to report that not only is Miss Williams happy to renew again, she's conscious of the fact that, you know, we still do have the botanical redevelopment plan ahead of us. As to when that area is going to be in scope, we don't know. So happy to look at a reduced period of time, but also has moved away from those requests for discounts and rent reductions. So Ms Williams is more than happy to continue paying the fair market assessment rate, which has been defined. And furthermore, again, we've been working with Ms Williams on, I guess, fixing up some of the shortfalls in the previous lease agreement. So the utilities such as electricity and general rates, historically they haven't been fully applied to the lease. And there are some history on that. What we'll be doing in this renewal is actually bringing all that in line with the rates policy and also with the consistency of the conditions of the lease. So we'll look to renew, we'll implement those on-charges now to the operator so that it's consistent with other commercial operators and leases that we have in the region.
Okay, thanks very much, Justin. Questions to Justin? Councillor Kirkland.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Justin, I think this is a makes sense deal. It's relief to see Miss Williams renewing, which is great. Can you just answer me what those electricity costs per annum are estimated to be? I mean, and when we talk electricity in this climate right now, that could be anything, but based on previous electricity consumption.
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Kirkland. I apologise. That's one thing where facilities are going out to do testing. So we've obviously some of the constraints, and to step back, the history with this site and the reason why we haven't always gone forth and on-charged these things, and then we've set that precedent, is because the structure and our infrastructure in the botanical garden. So for a water, for example, our RPZ, our meter, is on Spencer Street. So we can't define what their consumption is. Electricity wasn't necessarily that, but we weren't sure. So facilities have been doing some testing and inspections to make sure that the meters that are on the kiosk only service and supply that particular dwelling, because we don't want the operator paying for any other consumption in the area. So as far as the annual average, I'll have to take that away. I can certainly come back and give you a bit of an insight. I just haven't seen those numbers on a monthly or quarterly basis for that kiosk. So Mary and Ms Williams seems comfortable that whatever that charge will be, she's happy to start absorbing that. So, but I can certainly take that away, the specific numbers, Councillor.
Thanks, Justin. It really was just curiosity, really, because it's not going to change the way I think.
Thanks, Councillor Kirkland. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, mine was sort of similar to Councillor Kirkland. I was just a bit concerned that we're putting those costs on to these people, considering what they've had to put up with the flying foxes especially. I know for a fact of a shop that was, like, their electricity charge was $5,000 a year, went to $5,000 a month. That can be, as soon as they know it's a commercial business, your rates, your electricity charges are huge. And also, I was wondering about the rates charges, are going to be several thousand as well a year. And I just thought, I didn't know if we fully explained that to this lady. She's happy with all that.
I might get Alicia. We've done a lot of work up there, Councillor, and that was part of those previous reports, but I'll let Alicia answer those questions if
So,
that's
councillors, she is happy with these conditions as proposed. If things change, we've always got that ability to come back and ask for concessions as we've done in the past. So I guess that is our stopgap, but we're willing to work with Marianne and to work through those things. Yep.
Yeah, and through the chair, further to Alicia's comments there, we've certainly had that dialogue with Ms Williams around what those costs are estimated to be on a rates front. So we've spoken with rates and got a general understanding of what that assessment is and what those charges will be, and Ms Williams has been comfortable with those dollars that we've estimated with. So certainly gone through that. It's not just you will be charged rates. We've had a more of a detailed dialogue as to what that cost will look like, and then obviously consistent with the rates policy that will be applied.
And I think with the new playground up there, there's a lot more patronage occurring in that space, so I think there's, works both ways. I think there's an extra cost to council for that, maintenance on that playground, so, yeah.
That's right. Mr Mayor, and Ms Williams also, you know, she relays the appreciation on council and the botanical team as well. So our botanical team up there worked tirelessly to service that area, to really elevate the quality of it. And I guess Aaron and the broader team as well. You know, we've done a lot of work to come up with some programs and some mitigation programs to manage those constraints. And Marianne's really happy with the results. The community seems to be really happy. So for what it's worth, I think, we've really taken some forward steps in that space, and everyone seems to be happy. So.
Okay, thanks very much, Justin. Councillor's happy to move. Councillor Rutherford?
Happy to move, Mr Mayor.
Have a seconder. Councillor Kirkland? I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Righto. 10.5, and sorry, councillors, it's a briefing session item, late item. I didn't realise it was a briefing session. I thought it was on this one, but there you go. Aaron, thank you for the report on 109 Donovan Crescent, Gracemere.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. So here today to present a report that relates to a block of land adjacent to Ted Price Park in Gracemere. So the recommendation here today is for us to go back to the Department of Housing and advise we are not interested in purchasing the block of land, primarily reflective of our budget position and that we do have many needs, and this is not a budgeted for, it's not a line in our capital budget. So, we've been given first option, I guess, to advise the department of which direction we would like to go in. The block of land serves as a park entry. There are two alternate entry points, so it does, represent potentially a drop in service to the community. So, But yeah, just to reiterate, based on our budget position, it's not a great need, so proposing that we advise we are not interested.
Thanks, Aaron. Councillor Smith, as the Divisional Councillor for the area.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. This was of interest to me because Cowan Street has always been the official entry, even though it's a fairly small car park. I've had complaints about Donovan Crescent, people parking all over the footpath, walking their dogs in there and slamming doors. It really sounds like the Mount Archer saga. And letting their dogs wander everywhere. So I'm happy to move this to close that off, and they should be using Cowan Street.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Wickerson.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. Just a question. Do we know what the market value of the land is?
Aaron, Alicia?
Yeah, through the chair, and working with Kelly's team, you know, approximately 120 to 140,000 be a projected, market value.
Okay, because I was just a little bit anxious about access to that park. If the residents have to walk all the way around, but I wasn't aware of some of the issues that are raised up too, so that probably overrides it. But there's still an access point to it.
Sorry, through the chair, the look and feel of the block of land is there's a park entrance, there's bollards, there's a gate for our mowers to access and different things like that. So it presents to the community as part of the public open space. However, it's not owned by us. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor, no further questions. Move Councillor Smith. Councillor Fisher, did you want to get on the agenda? Seconded Councillor Fisher. There be no further questions, Councillor. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillors, that brings us to the end of our agenda items for this morning's communities meeting. I'd like to thank the officers for their reports and councillors for your support with those reports. And I'll close the meeting. Thanks, councillors.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeding fire. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody